brother Laser. That's my sister Meniche. Both of these children died in Transnistrian lager, and that's me before the war. That's my parents, my father, my mother, and his sister. I think her name was, I think Roza, I'm not sure. That's my grandmother Tsebochniks, Golda Mechel Tsebochniks. They died on the road on the road to Transnistria, and that's my mother. And this is how they wrote in Yiddish. I think it's this way. Anyhow, more or less this is about the artifacts, and this is a book which is called Khotyn. Khotyn is a book about the people that they lived in Khotyn only, people from Bessarabia, from Khotyn strictly, and approximately in 78 or 77, one of the years, an uncle of mine gave a picture to there was a Khotiner society, and I came not too long ago to Rockland Museum, Holocaust survivors, and I found that picture in this book, which it was very surprising. I was not completely shocked because I have this identical picture. I was only surprised finding it and who gave it. This is the whole story of the people of Khotyn, how they lived there. It's a big book, and it's a lot of history in it that I myself didn't know, being that I was, as I said, about 8 years while I was in Khotyn. So in 41, what I also want to go back, what I remember from the house is my father died in 39, and my father had all my life I was I wasn't officially looking. My father had a son. My mother was the second wife, and I never met that boy. Willie was his name. The only thing what I remember about my father, I don't remember faces at all. I remember about my father that it was a dark room, and it was a big, it was a mirror covered up, and kind of people in the house, and I understood that it was a sad time, and that was the death of my father. In 49, when the war broke out in Bessarabia, what I remember is fire was burning. The whole city went up on fire, and people were throwing out us of the houses, and we started to become wanderers. So everything perished, and I remember wandering from small little towns to little towns and driven. And my grandmother Golde and grandfather Mechel, we were passing by in a shtetl, it's called Soroka. Soroka is also still Bessarabia. And in Soroka, my grandmother felt very bad. They were elderly people, and my grandfather and my grandmother actually died in Soroka, almost like in the cemetery. I remember my mother carrying my brother something in front of her with some kind of something held up. My brother, my grandmother died, and then I remember that we were driven back to Khotyn. When we came back to Khotyn, the whole thing was burning and burned down, and being that we had a lot of artifacts, they also had a maid. Her name was, I remember, Pashka, silly things you could remember. And supposedly she stole all the things from the house. My grandfather took all the things he threw them down to the basement. And the house, I remember, like it was burning, and then my grandfather got hurt in the ear, like as if he started a little bit to burn, in order to save these all their belongings, mostly silver, I guess, he threw down. but nothing wasn't there, and the story was that we started to wander again, and my grandfather also died on the way. What I remember that we came into, we constantly were wandering. When I say we came, we didn't come by horses and we didn't come by train. We came by foot. And we passed Mogilev. Mogilev is also in the Ukraine, already Ukraine, and we came to, Mogilev is across the Dniester from Khotyn, the other side from Khotyn. And when we came to Mogilev, in Mogilev a lot of people died walking in the waters and in the mud and out of hunger. And it was a big mess, and people were left in the streets dying wherever they probably stood and walked. The scenery was not such a good scenery for 7 years, for 8 was neither. But I'm trying to tell a little bit what I remember, and all these things what I remember them always as it was yesterday. I wish it never comes again yesterday. So what I remember, the next step that we passed Kapaigorod and Shaigorod, and I was in a shtetl, in a small little village. It's called Popovets. And Popovets was a lager. And in lager, I don't remember having anything of something. The only thing that I remember from the lager is when we came in, it was a very small room. I don't know what to put it in footage. In a very crowded room with a lot of people. I was there with my sister, my brother, and my mother. My aunt Dina with Dvoira, with her daughter, I was told that they were shot because they were shooting people, and then I learned that they were also putting people alive, almost buried. So she was somewhere shot. The part of from my father's grandparents, their parents, my grandparents, I was not that much, I don't know too much about them, but they also perished in the same places. Uncles and aunts also perished in the same. So I remember that particular room, and the room was crowded with a lot of people, and there was stroi, hay. Stroi is in Yiddish hay. Something I remember, it was also hay a little bit. We were sleeping on the floors. I don't know from where really food came, if it came, but I don't know. People also had a lot of gold, I guess, and also rings that they were trading in, whoever could. We were under the Germans, but mostly the Romanians really were in our lager. People walked in and out. So what I remember in that room is one of the days was sitting next to us, or more likely lying next to us on the floor, a lady, and for some reason I think that like my brother got choked, or she choked him. I can't really, I'm not too clear, but for some reason it sounds to me as if she almost choked him. I don't know why. So then my mother wasn't feeling good, my sister wasn't feeling good, I was younger. People started to go out and beg in the villages, and a lot of the Christian people, they were very nice. They were tired of people knocking in their doors. They were very tired. But I was, as far as my family goes, I was the one that, I was the beggar. My sister did not like to do that. One of the days, I don't remember my mother going out either. I only remember myself going out. and the people